Featured review time. And for this, we went to the theater and we watched the big release of the weekend, the brand new, sparkling Beetlejuice. Sequel to the 80s classic by Tim Burton. This is also by Tim Burton. Todd, you're starting us off. Tell us what you think.
$110 million is this made. That's a
wow,
big hit. Yeah, this is a legacy sequel if I've ever seen one. The Deeds family from the original movie. Delia is Catherine O'Hara still. Lydia is Winona Ryder. They head back to Winter River when they find out that the patriarch of the family, Charles, which is the canceled Jeffrey Jones in the original film, that he died under bizarre sequence of events. And Lydia's daughter, Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, she meets a boy and winds up in some trouble. So Beetlejuice, which is Michael Keaton, again, he's called upon. And Lydia is like the host of some ghost hunter reality TV show, and she has a relationship with the producer, Rory, played by Justin Theroux. And then we also have Monica Bellucci is in this as Dolores, Beetlejuice's ex-wife, who's seeking revenge or something. I didn't really fully get her contribution to the movie, but there is a cool scene of her stapling her body together. That was interesting. The movie is way more modern than the original. The original is definitely something of its time. And there's a bit of like Halloween 2018 type of feel in this until it eventually falls back into kind of what you expect the movie it is going to be, except for when Astrid is the focus of the movie. Like Jenna Ortega gives it some sort of reality. Like every time I saw the preview for this, I thought it was like the Addams Family or something. And then I found out after watching this movie that it's written by the creators of Wednesday, which is also Jenna Ortega as an outcast at a boarding school. And it's a weird little niche those people carved out for themselves, I guess. The Jeffrey Jones thing is uncomfortably stupid. Like there's like a bad animated sequence with him, and then they start parading his picture and his likeness all over the movie. Like, I don't get it. Like, I know you can't have him back, but why build the movie around him? Like, just recast him. Like, nobody's ever going to say they missed Jeffrey Jones. Like, I don't understand the whole idea of the entire movie. But I don't know. And a couple like perfect additions to this saga are Willem Dafoe and Danny DeVito. Willem Dafoe is like an obvious add-in, and then DeVito gets to reunite with his Batman Returns director. I was actually surprised like Christopher Walken didn't show up somewhere. He would have really fit in this too. The story is pretty strange. It feels a little bit like Frankenweenie, like the whole thing's on Halloween. Everyone's all dressed up, and then including like several people at the screening I was at, including the workers at the theater, were all dressed up like Beetlejuice. The movie goes for broke, for better or worse. Like the final scenes are a train wreck, and it's got kind of misleading marketing too. From the trailers, it made it seem like Beetlejuice was actually going to be like a main part of the movie, but he has very limited screen time again. But Keaton, like the original, disappears into his role, which I think is the only time that you could ever really say that he has done that, because he's pretty much Michael Keaton in every movie that he's in, except for this. 2.5 stars, which is basically where I have the original movie.
All right. 2.5 stars from Todd. We'll go to Zach next.
Okay, so I didn't grow up with the original Beetlejuice. I saw it for the first time like maybe 5 or 6 years ago and kind of hated it. So of course, that's not the way to watch it. I mean, you had to watch it as a kid and enjoy it for all of its kind of stupidity and madcap antics. So I was very resistant going into this movie. Didn't have a great, and I've never really been a huge Tim Burton fan, period. But I have to say, and not too dissimilar from my review of It Ends With Us, this is probably like the best possible version that this movie could have been. It's a little reminiscent of like Top Gun Maverick. We're trying to resuscitate these movies from 35 years ago that have been in development hell. Apparently, Tim Burton was trying to make a Beetlejuice movie going back to the 90s and just kept on getting delayed and pushed back. And so, I don't know if the world needs another Beetlejuice movie. I don't know if the world needed another Top Gun movie. But given what it was, and given my, resistance to the original product, which I think is really lame, I gotta say I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. Now, I will say the big caveat is I fell asleep during a lot of the first 30 minutes. And maybe that helps because I thought the first 30 minutes were pretty slow. We get this reintroduced to Winona Ryder's character, who now hosts a TV series. I also thought Winona Ryder's character was basically the same character that she plays on Stranger Things. I'd love for her to do more, have more interesting roles, because I think she's a great actress. But it was great seeing her again. And Todd is absolutely right. I really liked the inclusion of Jenna Ortega in this movie, who I think is just talented in pretty much everything she's in. Also, got to say, some good decisions here by Tim Burton to not have Alec Baldwin and not have Gina Davis back in the cast, because I think they were some of the problems in the original movie. They're supposed to be these kind of innocent, naive, likable characters, and particularly Alec Baldwin is just not likable. You can never cast Alec Baldwin in a role where he's supposed to be likable. That's like the first rule of filmmaking, okay? And then the Jeffrey Jones thing is kind of interesting. I agree with what Todd says. It indirectly casts more attention to Jeffrey Jones than I think what they were trying to initially convey. And so maybe it's like a Streisand effect thing. I don't know. They weren't intending it. I think the movie's kind of fun. I don't know. It made me reevaluate my feelings about the first movie, that I must have just been in sort of a bad mood that day. I was actually surprised by the level of callbacks that this movie had, and again, they're not. I would say there's a fine line between callbacks and retreads, and this movie, it pushes that fine line. But to me, it was kind of just fun seeing all those sort of iconic images from the first movie. That again, there were more of them than I realized, and we didn't even hear the Banana Boat song in this movie either. Like, there's a lot of shit that was like, okay, people know this from Beetlejuice. It's kind of fun. The movie, Todd's right, is kind of out of control with its plot. I don't know what Monica Bellucci's doing in here. There's like many different strands to the story, but put in another way, it makes it so that there's no scene that lasts more than like 3 minutes in the movie. So it's always fresh and moving to different characters that are doing interesting things. We see some nice scenes with Catherine O'Hara with snakes, and we see Jenna Ortega going on the Soul Train. The Soul Train joke, by the way, is used a few too many times in this movie. They got to cut that out a little bit. It's like California Dreamin' in Chungking Express. It's a little overused. A little bit of Beetlejuice goes a long way. And that was another problem I had with the first movie. Like, Michael Keaton, God love him, he's a great actor, but like, Beetlejuice is a really obnoxious, annoying character who I don't know why anyone would like that much or have a lot of fondness for. And wisely, he kind of stays out of the main. I don't even think he's really in the first 45 minutes of the movie. So it does take a little while to get there. But once it gets there, I got to say, it's kind of fun. It was a nice sort of callback to, again, this era of filmmaking that I don't know if they ever took themselves too seriously. This is a movie that I don't know what the budget was for this movie, 80 million, 100 million or whatever, but it doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It feels like it was made out of love and affection, not a need to get money, or not the need to resuscitate the franchise. And then finally, what I'll say, this is what put me over the edge to 3 stars. According to Letterboxd, Jenna Ortega's top 4 movies are La Haine, Barry Lyndon, Passion of Joan of Arc, and Paris, Texas. Case closed. 3 stars. Thumbs up for Jenna Ortega and Beetlejuice. Can't believe I'm saying
how
that.
Old
But
Jenna Ortega, like, wasn't she was an ex, right?
Yeah, she was an ex.
And now she's playing like a.
I think she's like 35, but she just plays young, I think she just comes off as a teenager. She can pull that shtick for a long time.
I'm glad. It is cool that she likes La Haine and Barry Lyndon, though.
She's 22.
Okay. So
Born
probably
September 27th, 2002.
Another 7 years of playing high schoolers.
Probably. Well, she just has that look to her where she's gonna always look really young. All right. So what'd you give it, Zach?
3 stars.
3 stars from Zach. 2.5 stars from Todd. I thought this movie was dumb. It was so bad. I'm giving it 1.5 stars, and that 1.5 stars is for Michael Keaton for being a star and Jenna Ortega almost being a star, so she gets the half. And if Michael Keaton wasn't on screen, it was boring. If Jenna Ortega wasn't on screen, it was even worse. Catherine O'Hara and Justin Theroux are my leading candidates for worst performance of the year at the Pinos. Or it might just be like the worst written characters, like especially Justin Theroux. Like, what is he doing? Like that, that performance was so bad. And everyone was like, oh, it's going to use the practical effects again. No, Tim Burton used CGI to try and make it recreate practical effects. Just use the practical effects. Like, go back to the 80s. Use what you actually used. But on top of that, Michael Keaton's on screen, and they kept on wanting to show him with like his shirt, like with like 2 buttons undone, but they didn't extend his makeup past here. Like, and so like I'm like, this isn't hard. Like, you can CGI that crap, but no, we have to CGI Bob's head so it actually can show emotion, and you can tell. I mean, I saw the Broadway show come through town of Beetlejuice a few months ago. That did better with the effects than whatever the hell this was. The story is completely garbage too. It makes no sense. Winona Ryder, I feel, is just phoning this thing in, and I didn't like, none of her character's motivations make any sense at all. And like you're Jenna Ortega the whole time, like nothing makes sense. What the hell is going on? And then Michael Keaton shows up. I'm like, okay, well, at least you got the juice. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was a good impression. 3 stars for that impression.
It's always great to see Monica Bellucci and stuff. And she totally passes for still hot, even though being stapled down the middle.
It was the weirdest
I don't know.
Scene. She's like, well, I don't know why some of her limbs she was able to jam in there. Yeah, another one she needed to staple together. It was,
well, she jammed them in and then stapled them, I think. I don't know. 1.5 stars. Like, I was excited for this movie, and then like within the first 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is what they did with it. Oh no, this is gonna suck.
I'm not that far off from you. Like, I rewatched the first one. I hadn't seen it, and
I did not rewatch the first one. I probably should have.
The 90s, I hadn't seen it, and I liked it less than I remembered liking it. Like, I did think parts of it were kind of boring and dumb, but this one I feel like was just more modern, and I responded to it. But I think that they end up being about the same, because the first one is richer in story. This one is kind of just, I mean, I think it has more things going for it because I really like the cast, and I mean, and the fact that it does feel more modern. But
I can't say that I'm too far off from you guys either. It's not like this is an actually good movie. I just gotta say, it was fun being there. The audience was into it. It was funny in a stupid way. When they all break into MacArthur Park, like, I couldn't help but have a smile on my face. The gags kind of went for broke in this movie. I thought it was just sort of an enjoyable divergence from, something that is oversaturated with seriousness, like every single freaking Marvel movie. And like I said, I think this movie was made with love and affection. Think of how bad this movie could have, well, according to Terry, it already is bad, but like, this movie could have been worse, I think, in so many different ways. And the fact that it was like actually entertaining and had a semi-coherent story and had some interesting things going on the screen. I don't know. Terry's being way too hard on this movie. I think it's a fun distraction from the real world.
Well, when you likely watched it back to back with Strange Darling, I could see how this would look super lame.
Well, this was movie number 1, and I walked out of it saying that's dumb, and then I went and sat and watched Strange Darling. Like, thank you. Something redeems my double feature. I will say the other thing, I saw Beetlejuice in IMAX because the theater I went to do my double feature, because it was the only one still in town that was playing Strange Darling, was the IMAX theater. And the showtime that worked happened to be the IMAX theater. So like, I'm like, great, IMAX, this is going to be larger than life. Yeah, never before have I seen more larger than life crap. So
I don't know if you can consider Thurston County as being in town, but you can
shout out.
It wasn't that bad. I've driven further.
So I'll say one more thing that I liked about the movie, which is growing up, I felt like there was a new Tim Burton movie every single year. And I quickly got very tired of those movies, like Planet of the Apes, like Sweeney Todd, like Big Fish, like Alice in Wonderland. I felt like it was the same shtick every single movie. And I don't think we've had like a Tim Burton movie in a while. I know that he's done movies, and I know that he did obviously Wednesday.
Dumbo.
I gotta say, I kind of liked.
Yeah.
I didn't see Dumbo. It was nice. It was nice seeing Tim Burton back. I gotta say, it was like, okay, it was kind of. I haven't seen you for a minute. It was charming.
He's still been consistent making movies. They just all suck.
Well, it's nice
I
to
mean, that
make a
could
good
be.
movie.
Now, I will say, in doing research for this, I rediscovered that there was a Beetlejuice animated TV show that I used to watch as a kid. Todd, do you remember this being in existence?
No.
It's there. There were 94 episodes between 1989 and 1991. It existed. I remember it, but that's about all I could say about it. I don't remember any part of it, but I remember it existed. Anyways, all right. Beetlejuice. It's in theaters. Like Todd said, 110 million at the box office. Second place was Deadpool and Wolverine at 7.2 million. So, good
Adam's
stuff there.
gonna like Beetlejuice, right? He's gonna get 3 stars. We'll get better representation for it on this podcast. You guys are being way too negative.
3 stars from Zach, 2.5 stars from Todd, 1.5 stars from me.